Hi, everyone. Terry Davis here with Profound Talent, and I'm going to share with you the last of our series here on equity, diversity, and inclusion, which we are currently speaking about bias and specifically about unconscious bias. Last video we shared was about how to try to eliminate unconscious bias and bias in general, whether it's conscious or not, from our recruiting process. And so I gave you three strategies last time. One was to use a recruitment firm or a third party. The second piece, take names off of resumes. And the third piece being, really recognize and look at yourself and see if you're bringing bias into your process and question yourself a little bit. So those are kind of three just immediate strategies that you can consider. But before we go forward on this video about other aspects throughout the recruitment process that you may want to bring into effect to eliminate bias, I want to share with you a little bit about some of the biases that you might have as unconscious biases, and there's a lot. I've actually worked with an individual in my organization, Stacey Lang, who actually created a great document, did some research on some of the different biases that are out there. So I am going to look away for a second and refer to some of that. So bear with me, but I do want to bring this forward because it's really important, because I don't think we all understand how many biases we may have. So the first one is confirmation bias, and that's when somebody processes information in a way that confirms their own beliefs or assumptions about a person. There's the halo effect bias, and that is when we have a positive effect a person or place has on you that can cause a bias. So you have something that's positive that happened that is kind of resonating with you. It's a halo effect, and you want to bring that forward when you're doing the hiring. There's the horn effect bias, which is when you let one negative impression about a person cloud your decision because it may be hard for you to move past that impression. So you're bringing that one negative impression onto somebody else and assuming that they're going to be that same individual. So you're bringing that bias forward. There's expectation bias, and that's when you have expectations and somebody meets them, whether they're good or bad. There's affect bias, when a hiring manager or recruiter allows emotions to drive their hiring decisions. There's similarity attraction bias, where you are favoring a candidate because of a connection based on something that you have that's similar with them, such as it could be gender or your clothing or your just communication style. There's overconfidence bias, and that's where the feeling of overconfidence in your ability to choose the right candidate. So you just think, I'm a leader, I should be able to hire somebody, so I'm just going to do it. And you are overconfident in your ability, with maybe recognizing or not being understanding or recognizing that you need some help in that decision. There's beauty bias, which I think that is fairly self-explanatory, where a hiring manager just finds something attractive about a candidate and that makes them more qualified all of a sudden, or feels more qualified. There's conformity bias, and that's when peer pressure or group think affects the hiring process. So where you feel this need to conform to what the rest of the group is wanting in the organization. There's intuition bias, and that's where your instincts, when you're using your instincts, your intuition to make a hiring decision, and your gut feel versus your mental kind of thought process through that hiring decision. There's contrast bias, and that's comparing and contrasting each candidate against each other. So you're looking at each of them and kind of comparing and contrasting what this person has, what that person doesn't have, and that's kind of putting a bias towards your judgment on who you're bringing into your organization. There's implicit bias, when you unconsciously let stereotypes or negative attitudes affect your decision making. So those are some, just to kind of give you, as you can see, there's a lot of biases there. And so with that, we want to be conscious of it. So go through that again and really think about it and think, some of the ones that we always naturally think about are, there's a personality bias. There's somebody who, again, looks like us. So we naturally kind of resonate with them. Maybe somebody who is similar to us, they like the same types of things, they dress like us, they look like us. So when you're going through your process, you want to take note of these different types of biases and really do your best, again, to not bring them into play. So some of that can be some strategies when you're going through your interviewing process is to actually not just have yourself do the interviewing. So the first part might be, again, have a recruitment firm or a third party start the recruiting process. So they are bringing forward a set of candidates, a long list of candidates that have great qualifications, differences in personality, and their bias is not going to be so close to home as yours is because you're doing the hiring. So that's the first thing. When you get into the interviewing process with yourself, possibly bring yourself and others into the interviewing process. So whether that be you bring another senior leader in with you to do the hiring process, to question you, and to have differences of opinion so that you can actually have conversation and come to alignment on individuals and really push each other to think differently. So that's kind of a second way. It could be bringing some of your employee base in to see what their perspective is, who's going to fit into the team, who might again be able to bring some different skill and personality fit in. It could be adding a personality behavioral assessment into your process so that again you have another data point in making that hiring decision so that it's not all just based on yourself. It could also be having similar interview questions on that first interview round so that everybody is given the exact same interview questions so that there are not biases where only certain people get interview questions and others you end up just having a conversation with. So really try to standardize your process with the interview questions, bring others involved into that process, have a third party initially, question yourself, and bring other tools in, such as behavioral assessments, to help give you another data point. Bring referencing in as well so that you can again get different perspectives from different people so that you can make a more conscious hiring decision. And ultimately, if there's other ways that you can bring diverse groups into, again, this interviewing process through storytelling, for example, or other ways to resonate differently with different cultures, ethnicities, genders, and demographics is another fantastic way to try to eliminate bias. At the end of the day, there's always some type of bias, but the more we can lessen it, mitigate it, and be cognizant of it and bring it to our conscious minds, the better, more fruitful type hiring we will do for our organization. So that is the last of this series. We are going to have another similar series coming up shortly here thereafter, and it's going to be about respect in the workplace and how to ensure that we gain respect in the workplace. So stay tuned, and if you like this video, please share it, and please subscribe to us on our YouTube channel at Profound Talent. And if you have any hiring needs and need a recruitment firm, please do think of us, profoundtalent.com. Thank you. Have a great day.